I gotta say that intro doesn't get old. It's really starting to grow on me.
I'm going to be honest. I was having a crappy time up until I saw the intro, man. I'm going to keep it real, man. I've been really I've been in the mud the past 3 days, and with Michkov's benching, and that really brings it back to life. It's like
Jamey, we're throwing you the lifeboat rope. We're gonna pull you out of the mud real quick.
Nah, man, I'm gonna be in there until we see if he's playing tomorrow.
Yeah, no kidding. Nah, well, we got the rope ready. Hopefully, we'll pull everyone out because
I'll be
jumping right in with you if not.
You stole Tort's rope.
Yeah, I'm taking his rope away, and we're going to use it a free Michkov. Michkov in the Gulag is the name of this episode. If anyone hasn't
man,
based off of that, I'm going to go right into the shitter. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. About a minute late, my usual intros on that. Welcome to another episode of Flyera Gonna Flyer, our 18th installment of said show. We got a good episode with you guys this week. Coming with me is my gracious co-host, Mr. Jamey Bascout of the Flyers Nitty Gritty. Jamey, how you doing? No? Oh, lagged a little.
There you go.
I lagged a little. That was weird.
You're good.
Did you get my little spiel there for a minute?
I did. I liked it.
But anyway, Jamey, how you doing today, bud?
Aloha mahalo. Honestly, I'm usually doing great, and today I feel like crap. The past 3 days felt like crap. Now, it has nothing to do with my personal life. My personal life is great, and the kids they're doing great. But no, I just don't. There's a lot of stuff in Flyer land I don't agree with right now. So.
Yeah, but we'll get into it, and
usually I'm the upbeat, positive one, and I'm not too positive these days. So,
listen, if you're taking the positivity out of Mr. Jamey Bascout, Mr. Tortorella, you did something fucking wrong here. Taking the positivity out of Jamey is like taking the lucky out of Lucky Charms. It's like taking the chocolate out of chocolate milk. It's like sucking the joy out of a friggin'
yeah.
But anyway,
I got no milk left, man.
But anyway, we are gonna go hop right into these games from this week. Starting off with the Carolina game. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I did not watch a lot of this game. It was election night, so my attention was kind of wavering elsewhere. But I did catch bits and pieces of it, more along to the third period. So, Jamey, I'm going to push this one over to you to start. What stood out to you in that Carolina game?
I actually thought that they played well. They played very bad, at times, but I thought they outplayed Carolina for the most part. And it was a high scoring affair. Wasn't it like 5-4 or something of that nature? I think it ended as or something. Carolina scored last minute there in the last final seconds. I thought they outplayed Carolina for a large stretch there, and I was pretty impressed. Unfortunately, it goes back to what I've been talking about and what we have been talking about on this particular podcast. The goaltending. Your goaltending. Last year, Carter Hart was stealing them games, and then this year, it's been anything but. I think Kolosov didn't make that save, against Carolina. I think if he maybe made one more save, maybe they steal 2 points. He just didn't, and I'm not blaming him for. One goal was definitely his fault. I think it was the second goal, if I'm not mistaken. He should have had. It was like a one of those fluke. I don't know. But in any sense, but I thought he played. I thought he played well for the most part. But again, it was that Carter Hart probably would have allowed two, maybe 3 goals, and then Flyers would have won 4-3 that game, or 4-2. So I mean that's what I saw against Calgary. Against Tampa Bay was anything but. I thought Ivan Fedotov, played well, but credit the 5 in front of him. The whole team and in general just outplayed Tampa Bay. In large stretches there. Fedotov was phenomenal, but the defense, Jamie Drysdale really had, and I thought Jamie Drysdale had a good game against Carolina. So that was very noticeable. I don't think a lot of people noticed that. how good Jamey Drysdale has been. But for the past 3 games, I thought he's been very, very good. And finally, we're starting to see the Drysdale that, everyone was hoping that they would have gotten through the trade. So I see a lot of Jamey Drysdale hate still. And I wonder if that's because he's not putting points on the board. But in his particular case, I want to see him play well defensively, necessarily with the points. The points will come. But if he's bad at defending too, then you're a terrible defenseman. He's been anything but. He's been a very good defenseman for the last 3 games. And then, of course, I wasn't happy with the benching. I think we'll talk about that later. I think that soured me on Thursday in particular. And then, of course, yesterday I was soured because of the benching as well. I thought the Flyers played pretty well. Last night against the Florida Panthers, I was actually impressed. But my biggest fear, and it came true, was with how well the Flyers played against Tampa. And I'm going to say this about this now, too. With how well they played against Florida, do people really see Matvei Michkov re-entering the lineup Monday? Because they played very well the past 2 games. And that was my initial fear with the benching. I understand the benching. I get it. I get giving him a game, or whatever. Not that I'm happy about it because of his point production. But with that, if the Flyers play well, how do you re-enter him into the lineup?
Mm-hmm. It's funny you mentioned that, especially with this last game against Florida, that how is the team going to react to this? Are they going to just put him back in? Are they going to look at this and say, hey, they played good the last 2 games in a trip out to Florida that they've historically struggled with usually? But they took 3 out of a possible 4 points in Florida, 3 out of a possible 6 on the road. That Carolina game, as I mentioned, I didn't really catch too much. I did catch a chunk of the third period, and Marty Necas ended up killing them late when the Flyers just could not clear the puck out of their zone in those final 2 minutes. They felt like they were just on the penalty kill and completely gassed. And Carolina finally made them pay with about 30 seconds left. And funny, guy who I was wavering for at the beginning of the year, Marty Necas, is the one that kills them. I look at this right now, and Carolina again, another rough second period. Like, this continues to be, something that just keeps repeating over and over again. This team cannot get out of their way in the second period. When teams adjust in the locker room, they're not adjusting to their adjustments. They're just being caught flat-footed. What it feels like, they keep having flat second periods. That cannot happen. I thought Emil Drane, from the parts I did watch, looked very good. He continues to look like a guy that fits in. Travis Konechny, again, is looking like he's filling into that role. He had a really weird goal in that game. What was it? I think it was like a pass to Tippett, and then it just hit his stick and snuck 5-hole. I don't even think he would be. He looked like he was trying to originally shoot the puck, and it just happened to hit his stick and snuck right over Kochekov's legs.
Yeah.
But, they put up a good effort in that game. I feel like they did deserve a better fate than losing in regulation the way they did. I figured they should have at least snuck a point out of that. Now, that Tampa game, as you mentioned, for large stretches of that game, they actually played a good second period for the most part in that game. They were down 1-0 in the first after Kucherov was Kucherov and had that beautiful wraparound. I do think Fedotov kind of played the angle a little poorly there.
Yeah.
But both defensemen ended up weavering over to give Fedotov help for some reason on the inside of the play, which left the wraparound pretty much wide open. And all they had was a prayer of Couturier trying to break the play off, which he couldn't. Second period, they felt like the gameplay was, starting to wean their direction. They controlled pace. They had the puck on the quite often. They put shots on net. And this is a rarity for second periods this year. Then third period, Owen Tippett buries that goal on the rush. Finally, he hits an absolute beauty. And ties the game up, sends it to overtime. Nothing really happens much of value there. But the one value I do take from that game is Ivan Fedotov may have finally gained some confidence. I kind of saw it in the second half of his last game against Seattle, where maybe he turned a little bit of a corner. But I look at Fedotov and I really just say to myself, is this the game that he finally starts playing with some confidence, and the team in front of him plays with some confidence too whenever he comes in net? Because that was something I worried about in general. Because if your goalie's letting in a bunch of softies, the team's going to be playing a lot more tight, thinking they can't do some of the things that they usually do and be like, oh, crap, we make one or two mistakes on defense, we're going to leave him out to dry, and we don't know if we feel comfortable enough that he can make that big save for us. But, he played great. He had 2 good stops on the shootout on Victor Hedman, and I don't know who the second guy was, but he went 2 for 2 on this shootout. I think he went 23 for 24 in net. Round of applause there for Fedotov. He was definitely the star of that game outside the 1 goal he allowed, which he could have played better. But overall, I'd give him a thumbs up.
Full marks. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yes. And then that Florida game. I feel like this trip has been the 180 that Owen Tippett has been looking for. He, in my opinion, has been the player that has stood out to me a lot in this trip. He was flying in that Florida game. Absolutely flying. I feel like he had 4 or 5 high-quality bids. He did not score, but he just, every time there was a good opportunity in front of the net, it felt like he was there, either creating or getting the shot on net. And they're going to need him to get going if they're going to have any chance of making some level of push. I'm not anticipating that, but like the push, but I do anticipate Tippett actually to get going. And this road trip, he has looked like the Tippett of old that put up 28 goals last year. And then, again, the second power play looks revitalized with Miladrane running quarterback. I got to say, when Cam York comes back, I want to keep this kid in the lineup. He has been absolutely dynamite. He's been smart in his own end. He made one really nice move in that Florida game last night that was really risky, but it ended up paying off. Defenders right in front of his net with about 2 minutes to go. But some people might look at that and say, why are you trying to play like that? I look at that and I'm like, if the kid is confident enough to make that play and making that play, you've got to, a mistake will happen eventually when you do something like that. But if you're making plays like that and showing the level of confidence to attempt that, you've got to give a player kudos there. They better not take this kid out of the lineup when Cam York comes back. Because if you remember when we had a roundtable, one of the things I actually emphasized is I wanted Emil Andrade into this lineup one way or another. And I thought originally it was going to need to be done via trade. And I think he may have earned it with this injury that happened to Cam York. Now, obviously, Cam York will be placed back in when he gets back. Who's the guy you sit? I think it's Zamula, personally. I think you sit Zamula still, run 6 defensemen, and keep Andrade out there with Ristolainen. Because I think he's more than earned it.
I agree. I agree with that. They're definitely going to have to keep Z out of the lineup for long stretches at a time, and I think Z and Johnson are well aware, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm.
And they got 8 defensemen in the roster at the moment. They've got to look at this and see who is going to be the odd man out. If I'm the Flyers, when York's back, I go York, Sanheim, Drysdale, Sealer, and Andrade Ristolainen. That feels like the best 6-man lineup that they have right now. Maybe I'd even move the Ristolainen and Andrade lineup to that second pair because I think he's earned 17, 18 minutes a night out there the way he's been going. And I will say, they played good this week. They did. They played better than I thought they would. When you lose Sam Merson for a couple games, he did come back Saturday, which is good to see. The injury obviously wasn't major. When you were forced to play Fedotov a game, and he actually played a lot better than expected. And you hung in with all 3 of these teams. All 3 of these teams are contenders or playoff teams. It's not like you went out there and played some Joe Schmo teams like San Jose or Chicago or whatever. You played against the cream of the crop of the East. So I'm hoping they can build off this for sure.
I think there's a lot to build off of, but I think they still have to get better in the same token. Like, I know Flyers fans that were watching, and to include yourself, and me, we were watching all, yesterday. Overtime period, man, they just missed so many chances, like high and wide, shooting way left or, opportunities, golden opportunities that went wide. Even the breakaway went wide. And I was like, oh, man, they have to hit the net. Their game, they cannot be that finesse team. And I saw a little bit of finesse in the overtime. They thought that they had to try to be perfect to beat Bobrovsky in overtime. I think if they just simplified, just lift the puck high, go in with speed, like one of the shootout goals that Florida scored. I think it was Matt Tkachuk who just went in with speed and lifted it, right over Urson's, right shoulder, top shelf for Mama Hides and cookies. That's sort of what the Flyers just have to do. But their chances are going high and wide, left, way right. And so that's the part that bothered me, is that Achilles heel of shooting wide or high, came full effect. But that was the only thing that bothered me last night.
You mentioned that too. Me and Eric brought this up on the show last week. By the way, I should have mentioned this before the show started. Eric won't be joining us. I'm sure, as you realize, 15 minutes in. He's currently on vacation in Florida. He'll be back next week. But
he did go to the game, fans. I just want to let you all know.
He got some good pictures. We're going to put them on the at Flyera podcast Twitter account. I already retweeted them on there, so check them out. He put up 3 pretty cool snapshots from the game. But anyway, not to get too off topic, one of the things I mentioned with Eric last week is one of the things that stood out to me this year with this team, they're not getting as many shots on net as they were last year. Prior to last year, they were probably averaging in the low 30s per game, 30 to 32 shots a game. This year, it feels like they're in the mid-20s. Those extra 6-7 shots you're not getting on net are going to accumulate to less goals. It's just quantity. And Wayne Gretzky always said, 100% of the shots you don't take won't go in. And in this case, 100% of the shots that don't hit the net won't go in. So when you're not getting those extra 7, 8, 9 shots a game, you're going to see your goal scoring totals go down. And it really has felt like it this year.
Yeah, it's the rebounds. Like you said, just throw it on net. Anything could happen, like last night, a few of those breakaways in overtime. By the way, it was back and forth for those that missed it. It was an awesome 3-on-3 for that 5 minutes between Flyers and Florida. Both goaltenders played phenomenal in that overtime in particular. Throughout the whole game, both goalies, I thought, really played well. But, in the overtime, you definitely saw, a tale of Sam Ersson that, hey, I am the guy. He definitely solidified for any doubters that, one, he came back from injury and played so good. I was very impressed. But the overtime really impressed me with Ersson in particular. But Bobrovsky played very well as well. But it was back and forth breakaway opportunities, 2-on-1s for both sides, Florida and the Flyers. The Flyers, you hit one on net there. You don't know if there's a trailer. If there's a trailer, maybe the other person comes in and bangs it home. Because some of them look like Bob was going to have testers anyway, because a lot of them that I saw were a little high, lifted off the ice. So who knows? It goes off his shoulder, pegged, just sitting there, and boom, you go in and you pot the game-winning goal off just banging it in. It doesn't have to be anything special or flashy, but like Alex said, he makes a very good point. For all those missed opportunities that you're shooting high and wide or way left or way right for various reasons, whether they're trying to pick the corner or whether they're trying to just be too cute, just throw it on net. Throw it on net and get the greasy goal. And that's what bothered me about the Michkov benching so much. It's because he is that guy who just goes and just shoots. But I think they could have used him in the shootout.
Since we're on the topic. So, if for those of you that are living under a rock, Matvei Michkov was benched the last 2 games by John Tortorella. This set Flyers Twitter ablaze, including myself. I was not elated by it the first game. I was even more pissed off the second game, to the point that I'm starting to even lose a little bit of faith in Torts. Now, day later, calming down a little bit, bring him back, make everything good, won't have any issues long term. But right now, I am PO'd at Torts, and I'm sure there's a lot of the fan base that is. Jamey, let me get your opinion first. What was your initial reaction, and even the second game 2 reaction of Torts sitting Michkov?
Well, before we get into that, I just want to say, before I forget, thank you to all the men and women that served in the United States military. Without you all, for one, we wouldn't be able to do this show, and we take a lot of stuff for granted, to myself included. How lucky that we are, to be blessed with a fantastic military. Those brave men and women doing something that I wouldn't be able to do. I'm not as courageous as you. So for those that served and are currently serving, thank you so very much. With Veterans Day being tomorrow, you all mean a lot to me. I know I don't let these colors run. Trust me, we're military in this house. We love you all to death. So
I follow a Vietnam vet. Love you, Dad, as well. Thank you for your service as well.
No, thank you for his service, man. What a great guy. Phenomenal person. Raised a good son, too. But I'm going to be honest. My initial fear with this Matvei Michkov benching, I was pissed. And I was pissed. And I don't get pissed if Torts very often. For those who have been following me, for those who know me, I love Torts, and I still do. I think he's a phenomenal coach. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a coach of this team. In this case, I don't agree with him, and I don't always have to agree with him, and I'm okay by that. I stand by this. I think it's a stupid decision, and I didn't like it at first because if they happen to play well, and I put that tweet out there Thursday too. If they play well, if they play against Tampa very well, then what? And it happened. So now what? You knew going into yesterday, there was a large possibility, maybe not 100%, but a 90 to 95% certainty that he would not re-enter the lineup. And that's the way Torts has been. They have to make a mistake or play bad in order for him to re-enter the lineup. Well, they played good against the Florida Panthers. So now what? Is he also going to be benched tomorrow on Military Appreciation Night, against, the San Jose Sharks, on Veterans Day? I don't know if he'll re-enter or not. There's still uncertainty, and that was my initial fear. That's what bothered me. It's not because he needed to be benched. Okay, he wasn't playing the best at 5-on-5. But let's be honest here. My point that I was trying to make, Alex, and I told you last weekend, he could have 7 or 8 more points right now. He should. He can't help his line mates finishing that he throws perfect beauties for that go wide or high right. That like hitting the net, just throw it on the net. It's a goal. No, they're trying to be too cute. So those are points missed by him. So if he has 17 or 18 points in 13 games played, does he get benched still?
Probably not.
So like in the same token, I understand what people are saying about the 5-on-5 aspect, but don't sit here and tell me he isn't playing good 5-on-5 either. And that's what I mean. Like, are we going by points? Because that's what it seems to be from a lot of people. Points. Oh, well, his point production 5-on-5. All his points are coming with the man advantage. No, 3 points came 5-on-5. 7 points came with the man advantage. Yes, he is very good with the man advantage. But those 7 or 8 points would be 5-on-5 at even strength. So he would actually they would correlate to 10 or 11 even strength points and then 7 man advantage points. So is he still being benched? That's the point that I was trying to make. And that's why I was pissed by it, is because he is playing okay 5-on-5. Don't tell me that he isn't playing well at even strength. He's the one who's trying to make plays. I'm okay with him making mistakes. I don't care how many turnovers the guy has. Why? Because he's trying to make a freaking play. And it bothers me because all the other players are just sitting there watching him while he's over here dangling, dipsy-doing, and throws a beauty, and they're shocked by it, and it goes wide. No, like, that's my problem. Okay, is he playing well defensively? No. He's got a lot to learn defensively, but he's out there creating and trying to make a play. Was he tired in his last game? Sure. But tell me a player that wasn't. And that's what I mean, is like, so all these other players aren't playing well. They expect more 5-on-5, right? Tell me one player on the Philadelphia Flyers that isn't struggling at even strength. All of them are. None of them can score. And that's what I was talking about with the overtime, how frustrating I was that shots are going high, wide, way left. It bothers me that Michkov is now the pony. And hey, you're the end all. We expect more from you. And then Torts says, "Oh, Anthony Richard, I just want him to play I want him to go and play his abilities. I want him to be more offensive. I don't want to take any of his offensive abilities away." And so that's a head scratching quote to me, because I'm like, okay, well, Michkov is there creating and trying to make plays, and he has offensive abilities, but let's take him out of lineup. So now this benching has bothered me, and it will, because I really don't see him re-entering the lineup tomorrow. But they have to put him in some way, because if you don't, now you're messing with the kid's head. You said it was a 1-game benching. Live to the 1 game. No, it became a 2-game. But now, since they played well, now it could possibly be 3 games. So now he's going into tomorrow. Am I playing or am I not? And that's not good for a prospect that has, to me, he's shown the abilities to have generational talent, that has, this amazing talent. It just bothers me. Connor Bedard did not get scratched.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a healthy scratch. And don't tell me that he didn't hit the rookie wall at one point either. He struggled his first 10 games, as I remember. He didn't come in lighting the league on fire. It's very rare that players come in and light the league on fire. But Michkov sort of has 10 points in 13 games. I think that's lighting the league on fire, in my opinion, for a rookie to come in and have 10 points in 13 games, and now he's benched.
In the 18 episodes we have done this, Jamey, that is by far my favorite rant you've ever gone on. That was awesome. I had a shit-eating grin that entire friggin' rant. That's going to be tough to follow up. I'm just going to say that right now because you hit the hammer on the fucking nail right there. Here's my issue. I'm going to start with the point that I'm going to piggyback off of your final point. Benching the kid for one game.
Right.
Okay. And, I didn't like it. I was mad too. I could at least see the argument for it. Like, we want to go have him watch from above. All right. The guy's never played more than 47 games, whatever the hell it is. The team's struggling right now. Maybe it's a way to light a fire under all their asses. All right. I didn't like it. I was actually pissed too. But I try looking at the logistics of it. Game 2, get the fuck out of here with that. Game 2, there is no fucking excuse. Excuse my French. I know I've said that word a bajillion times on here, but holy crap, that's bullshit. You cannot. You have a guy, as you mentioned, who has got the skill set to potentially be a generational or franchise talent. This kid put up 9 points in his first 8 games. And then, he had a little bit of a wall, 1 point in his next 5. He had 10 and 13. People argue at the fact that he has struggled 5-on-5 when analytically he's been their second best forward 5-on-5. The only guy who's been better analytically has been Travis Konechny, who has been good. But we look at that and we look at the sheer fact that, he's not producing 5-on-5. He's only got 3 points. Yeah, and this team was dead last on the fucking power play. Not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive fucking seasons. 3. He came in, and when he was taken out of the lineup, they were tied for 14th in these first 13 games. Tied for 14th. That's a pretty significant step forward.
Oh, yeah.
That is a very significant step forward. One of the biggest issue for the Flyers was entering the offensive zone on the power play. And a guy like Michkov has helped completely negate that. They were entering the zone. Now the biggest issue is Morgan Frost can't win a fucking offensive zone face-off to
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But that's beside the point. We'll get into Frost in a little while. The issue with benching Michkov, as you stated, is a couple of things. Number one, it fucks with the kid's head. I couldn't agree more with that. It sets a mental issue with that. If you sit him one game just for the argument's sake that Torts made, that we want to have him watch from above, okay. Like I said, I can kind of see that development. I'm not crazy about it. He did have a little bit of struggles in those last 5 games. All right, fine. You can kind of somewhat, not fully, but somewhat talk me into that. The second game, as I just mentioned, that gets thrown out the fucking window. Now you're being an idiot. Now you're being a bonehead. I've defended Torts quite often these last 2 years.
I remember.
I'm really not. Like, I like Torts as a coach. I think he's done a fantastic job getting this locker room to become a lot more healthier. Danny's done a great job weeding out the bad eggs out of the locker room. It's a very healthy locker room now. But the issue now becomes, does this locker room start to have issues again playing with fire like that? I think you could go back to when they benched Sean Couturier last year after naming him captain. I don't think the locker was probably thrilled about that either. Do you think they're going to be thrilled about benching arguably your best offensive fucking talent for fucking 2 games and maybe more? No. They're going to probably look at this like, what the fuck is this dude doing? Why is this dinosaur freaking sitting him consistently like this? But we can't fucking score. And he's been one of the few guys that can generate offensive plays. Like, I don't get it. And it's not like he's not playing well defensively. Now, has he cheated a little bit on defense?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. A lot of offensive guys do that. But I've seen him block shots. I've seen him break up plays on back checks. I've seen him be in position to help break up passing lanes. He's doing what he should be doing defensively. Is he ever going to be a sulky guy? No. Obviously not. That's not what he's brought here to do. But when I look at this situation, I worry because if this becomes a lingering issue, now it's only 2 games. 2 games from now, next year, we might completely forget about this. They might completely forget about this by this time next year. Who knows? But if this becomes a lingering issue, does it make him start getting second guess himself why he came here? I'm not going to that level yet, or anything even close to that. It's only 2 games. But you can't let this linger is my issue. You've got to nip this in the bud. One of the positives I saw, Charlie O'Connor on Twitter did state that he believes Michkov will be entering the lineup again on Monday. Now, he said he'd be shocked if he didn't. So Charlie's a pretty informed source. I trust his word. I trust his judgment. I don't think he'd say that unless he truly felt like, hey, Michkov's coming back in the lineup. They did not win this game against Florida. I could see towards his argument has always historically not touched lineups after a win. Over the 2 years he's been there, whenever the Flyers win a game, he does not touch the lineup, it seems like. So I was not shocked. I was pissed, but I wasn't shocked at the fact that they kept him out of the lineup. So now they lost 4-3. They played a good game, but they did indeed lose the game. Now you're going at home against San Jose. You don't want to fucking play with that fire in front of the Farg. You keep this dude benching Wells, you're going to get some very pissy chants at you, John. Don't do it. End this now. You sent your message game 1, even if it was a message I didn't agree with. You're being a dickhead game 2.
Yeah.
Put him back in the lineup. Case in point.
Yeah. I mean, it's that bad to where Flyers fans were thinking about marching with pitchforks down to the Wells Fargo Center. And they wanted some heads down there. It was that bad. I mean, people are livid, and rightfully so. Like that, they definitely had an argument and a valid point for why Michkov should be in the lineup. People aren't going to see. Unfortunately, they're not going to see Sam Ersson. Some are not. Some are going to see Travis Konechny. Some are not. But one thing that all Flyers fans are going to see this year is Matvei Michkov. They want to go see Michkov. They're not going to see, the Nick Delorier, in the lineup. Some are not. But one constant that people want to see is Matvei. So they have to give them what they want, and that's why I do believe he probably re-enters tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But I could see him thinking, "Am I going to re-enter?" The Flyers have to tread lightly here because of SKA. There's no doubt in my mind that SKA isn't watching at the 2 consecutive benchings. So if he's benched for a third, is Rotenberg going to come out and make a comment and say, "Hey, are they going to come in here and try to peg?" Because he did make that comment because of AHL. Then he's going to come home and play in the KHL. Said they still garner his rights over there for the KHL. It's just like some Flyers. The Flyers own some rights too, like Mikhail Vorobiev. They still own his rights. So if he ever tried re-entering the NHL, he's part of Flyers property, and if he wants to go elsewhere, they have to trade him, elsewhere or release him for that matter. Well, it's the same thing. Michkov's rights are still owned by SKA, so the Flyers have to tread very, very lightly here. 2 games. If it goes over 2, if he's benched tomorrow night against the San Jose Sharks, wow. Just wow. I can tell you that they will have there will be some, maybe 1 or 2 Flyers fans out there really, really mad that would probably be marching in front of the Wells Fargo Center. I can honestly see it.
I will say, like I said, they've got to nip this in the bud, or this could get worse before it gets better.
Yes.
I agree 100%. You can't let this linger. And you make a good point about SKA. I didn't even put that in perspective. I don't know when this would eventually become a SKA type of thing. I wonder if Torts and Danny and Keith ended up talking to him prior to the year that this could be a possibility. Maybe
he definitely can't play in the AHL. That's for sure. We already know that because Danny and Rotenberg said it, and Danny pretty much confirmed it with him going straight here to Philly. That was probably one of the conditions. He didn't ultimately say yes, that was one of the conditions, but it was a condition to Rotenberg. So if Rotenberg said it, it is probably 100% that he cannot play in the AHL. And if he does, then he should have an opportunity to go back to the KHL if that were the case. So, yeah, they have to tread lightly because there's no doubt SKA is watching this for sure. They're not a dumb organization. They are paying attention. Trust me.
I agree. But anyway, with that being said, let's move on to our next topic. So we talk about one guy that hasn't been in the lineup, and now let's talk about a guy that they might be potentially replacing him with when he potentially re-enters the lineup, and that's Morgan Frost. I have been down on him this year. I have not been happy what I've seen from him so far. He's only scored one goal. We're now 15 games into the year. This is a guy that we were supposed to plug and play with Michkov. We felt like that was going to be the center that would be best suited with Matvei as from a shot creating aspect. And he has not provided, even in the 13 games he did play with him. He analytically, he's been looked at as one of the worst Flyers on the team. He played under 10 minutes last night. They sent him out for the game, tying shootout attempt, didn't score. Not that I'm going to hold that one against him, but this is more of a broad spectrum of the entire season. Jamey, let me start with you. How are you feeling about Morgan Frost right now? And do you feel like maybe even a healthy scratch might be on the horizon for him?
Yeah, I definitely do. He has been one of those players that Tort says, hey, okay, he's given a leash to, but if he's not consistent, the problem with Morgan, he's not a consistent hockey player. And I've talked with, many people about this. For some reason, he'll go out there one game and have the game of his life and have 1 goal, 3 assists, and then you won't hear from him for long stretches at a time, 6, 7, 8 games. And it's not that he's not trying. He's definitely trying. That is definitely not. He's giving full effort. It's just a consistency, problem now. And what bodes well for him is that the Flyers don't have the depth at the center position yet. And if they did, I think that they probably would move on from Morgan Frost, but they don't have that center depth yet. But yes, I could honestly see him, being benched, being part of the benching with there in terms of trying to get Michkov re-entered into the lineup. I can see it, especially with Anthony Richard, playing solid hockey right now. He looked good in both games. Anthony Richard could have easily had his first as a Flyer on Thursday night against Tampa Bay. It went beautiful save, I think it was, by Vasilevsky. It went off his blocker and then up high. It looked like it was going in. It was top shelf. Vasilevsky came up, hit it with his blocker, and it went top. It went up into the netting or hit the glass. I forget which one. Nonetheless, that was a possibility. He just missed his first goal to Flyer. So I think he's playing very well. And him scoring yesterday definitely solidifies him to at least get another look against the San Jose Sharks. I can see Morgan Frost being pegged as that guy. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Alex.
I'll say this much. Time on ice is telling with Torts.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he played much in the third period of that game. I felt like Couturier may have been getting double shifted a little bit. And I'm looking at this right now. He might get a bench. Yeah, I think it would make more sense. And I'm starting to look at this right now and really start to wonder if this is last year as a Flyer. I really do. He needs to – you were placed on a line with – you've had plenty of opportunities to show it. Now, he had a great final two-thirds EO last year. I saw Bill Meltzer make a comment on that, and I wholeheartedly agree. He was right on the money. But the Flyers have invested a lot in this kid. And he's going to want to get a significant pay raise probably. And I don't know if he's done enough to earn that from a consistency standpoint. Like if you're brought in and you're playing with a guy on the caliber of Matvei Michkov or a Travis Konechny or an Owen Tippett or Joel Farabee or Tyson Forster as your wingers along those lines, and you can't find ways to gain some level of offensive production, I don't know if there's really that much room for you to get the leash anymore. You're running out of leash to work with here. And I think he's 25 at this point. Like he's
25, 26. Yeah, somewhere around there.
How much more is he going to develop? We're at the point that it's now or never.
Yeah.
And I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. It's it's only early November. He could still turn it around. He could still prove me wrong. Maybe we're having this conversation 2 months later, and he's put up 30 points in 35 games. And I'm like, holy crap, I jumped the gun way too early on Frost again. But we're at the point, it's like we need consistency over streakiness. You've got plenty of winger talent to work with. This isn't a team that is short on winger talent. If they were, I could give them a little more leeway. but they're not.
Yeah.
Morgan's gameplay is stick handling and play creating, and he's not really showing
that. The thing is, I think you hit the benching, an upcoming benching with time on ice. You look, time on ice was affected by Matvei Michkov, and here he was benched. Time on ice, it definitely is an indicator from John Tortorella that he's likely to be benched. And, you are right. I predicted 65 to 70 points for Frost this year because he was playing with Michkov initially, and I really thought that we would see his talent, and he's definitely inconsistent. So he's still, like you said, he has plenty of time to right the ship here. But I think benching is on the horizon, possibly as early as tomorrow against the San Jose Sharks for sure.
So my final question on Morgan Frost is simply this. Is this his last hoorah with the Flyers, or do you think that he can really prove himself to maybe earn another contract here?
It depends. If by the trade deadline the Flyers are in need of a center, Zegras, there's no doubt in my mind that Trevor Zegras is getting a look by the scouting. Danny Heatley was out there, what was it, Thursday night or Friday night? Definitely getting a look at scouting Anaheim, and I forget the team that they were playing. I think it was Montreal. But nonetheless, I think yeah. So, but yeah, they're definitely getting a look at Zegras. So it definitely could be his last hurrah. If he doesn't pick it up by the trade deadline, I'd look for a trade. I don't think the Flyers there's an imminent need for a trade right now. They know Danny Briere is sticking to the gun, and so is Keith Jones. And Danny has made it quite clear that this isn't the year that they're expecting for contention. And if playoffs are there, he's like, if they make the playoffs. So this isn't an indicator, a rush. Oh, let's go get somebody because, hey, they're struggling. No, I think he expects them to struggle.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to come out and prove it. Simple as that. Simple as that. We're at age 25. You have to go out and show it. You've had plenty of opportunities. Agreed. This is it. This is the final chance for this kid. I like Frost. I think he's good. I think he has the talent. His stick handling is excellent.
Yeah.
But we're at the point that if you can't show it this year, I wonder if a change of scenery would be best for him.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
Hey, we'll see with the benching. I have a feeling we're going to see that healthy scratch on Monday. My guess is he's the guy that gets sat for Matvei to come back into the lineup. We'll find out tomorrow. But anyway, let's move on to tomorrow and the rest of the week. Flyers got 3 games coming up. Currently with a record of 5-8-2. Second to last in the East. I think they're 27th overall in the Eastern Conference. In the league. So obviously has not been a good start. Home against San Jose, at Ottawa, home against Buffalo. Jamey, what's your prediction for the week? And who
1-2. 1-2. I actually had them winning tomorrow night against San Jose, losing to Ottawa. They just don't play Ottawa well. They haven't over the course of the past few years there. Claude Giroux, whatever reason, they're trying to get their season going here too. They've struggled, but I can see them coming out with a lot of fire. I actually see the Flyers winning tomorrow against San Jose, losing in Ottawa, and then losing to Buffalo on Saturday. There's a lot of things that the Flyers need for them to get going here, and I just don't. I don't see it. Even though they played very well against these 3 juggernauts, I'd say, because they are every single one of them are contenders, but the Flyers play very well against stiff competition. And then when it comes down to their own competition and even lower, they just don't bode well. I don't know what it is about this team, in terms of consistency. And it's still, there's been times to where the Flyers should have won this season, against bottom competition, and they haven't. So I just think that continues to be their path here. I see them winning tomorrow convincingly, 5-2 against the Sharks, losing to Ottawa 3-2, and then losing to Buffalo 2-1 in overtime.
So I'm going to say 2-1 this week. I agree with you on the Sharks. I think they win that game, although I think it's going to be an ugly one because last year when they played the Sharks, they had 2 very ugly games. I see it being very similar this year. I think they win that game like 4-3 in a game that the shots are almost even. I don't know what it is with San Jose. They just seem like They always play a very ugly style of game, even now with them being poor. Even when they were good, they always struggled with them. So doesn't really matter what Sharks team it is. That team just seems like they live in their head. I think they lose to Ottawa. I agree. I think they don't just lose; they need to get mollywopped. I think it's gonna be like 6-2 or something like that. Like you said, there's some reason they struggle against the Sens. If they do beat them, they always seem like they have to grind out a win. It's never an easy game with them. And then Buffalo, I think they're gonna win 2-1 in overtime. I'm gonna flip flop yours, and I think they actually pull off an overtime win. But I still don't have high hopes for the year. I think we're at the point of the season where we know what they are. We know what we're getting from them. They obviously lack center help. They don't have the consistency in net. Obviously, Torts and Danny don't see this team as a team that's really worth investing in. Obviously, they're sitting Michkov, so I don't know what effects that could potentially have on the locker room in general. So I don't know. I'm going to say, even though despite the 2-1 record prediction this week, I still don't see them really pushing any level of playoff push this year. I do hope they do have another top-end pick because 2025's got some really good players in the draft. A few good guys that could truly be a 1C. I think having Luchenko up next year, I think you'll have a decent amount of cap. The Flyers will be in better situation, 25, 26 compared to this. But right now, we know the holes this team has, and they're too glaring for me to really look at it, at least this point in time.
Yeah.
Obviously, our opinions are subjective to change. Who knows? And maybe a month from now, they go on a 9-1 run.
10 game winning streak. Yeah.
I doubt it, but who knows? Crazy craps happen. But realistically, I don't see this team pushing any level of playoff window this year. I think the holes are just too big.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with you 100%. I just they're just playing too. Although they played very well and better against juggernauts here, they just still cannot score consistently. They miss the net a lot, extremely. It's just I don't know. I don't know if the defense could keep up their stellar play. Going into this week, I'd like the game of Jamey Drysdale. I like what Emil Andre has brought to the table. I just don't know if it's enough to get over that hump there.
And I have to tend to agree on that as well. I do, but please keep Adrana in the lineup. That's my final thought. Please, this kid's deserved it. I don't want this lock jam to hold him back. He does not deserve to be in the NHL anymore. He is developed enough where I think he should be a regular. And I think when Adrana gets traded, I think he will be that.
Yeah.
But any closing thoughts before we wrap things up, Jamey?
Again, thank you to all the military members. Thank you so very much. Those brave men and women. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to have your time. And, without you all, the Flyers wouldn't be playing some hockey. And so thank you very much. And hopefully, let's go Flyers.
Let's go Flyers. And happy Veterans Day. My final thought is this. Just build off of the week. Build off of last week. Hopefully play some good competitive hockey. If they lose, they lose. I don't care about that. But please don't sleepwalk into a game. Please play with effort. Please make these games consistently worth watching. And please, for the love of God, play Matvei Michkov. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up another awesome installment of Flyer Gonna Flyer. Check us out on tpuckwithmedia Media, Don't Puck with Media on YouTube. Check out some of our other shows. Pucking Around Podcast, new episode out every Tuesday. Hibernation, new episode every Monday. And on our sister channel, Talking Habs, they will have some new content for the Montreal Canadiens as well every Thursday. But with all that being said, everyone take care. Have a great day. And everyone, enjoy your Veterans Day. Let's go Flyers.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, give a thumbs up, leave a comment, and please share this video.